Okay, year one. This week we're going to be talking about length. What is length? What does that word mean, length? Can you pause the video and have a think, what does length mean? Right, children, well, length is when we look at something and we try and find out the size of it. And it's the size of it from one point to another point. So, if we look at this pepper pot here, the length is, we look at this starting point down here where it touches the table to the point where it finishes. So this is the length. Okay, that's the length. We could also look at the length of this cola bottle. It would start at the point from the bottom where it touches the table and finish at its tallest point, which is here. And that would be the length. Okay, so when we look at length, we are looking at how tall something is, or how long it is, or how short it is. Right, children, let's compare the length of the pepper pot to the length of the cola can, and we can put them next to each other. Now we've made sure that they both have the same starting point. They're both starting on the bottom of the table, but they have a different finishing point. The pepper pot finishes here, while the Coke can finishes here. So what could we say about the length of these objects? How could we compare the length of these objects? And compare means we look at what's different about them and what's the same. Now we can look at these straight away and see that they have different lengths. Talk to your parents or your adult or anyone who's there and have a think and have a chat. How could we describe the length of these? What could we say? Did you have a think, children? Well, I had a think as well. And I wanted to, and I thought, well, the pepper pot is shorter than the Coke can. What does that mean? It's shorter. Shorter means it's smaller. It hasn't got as much length as the cola can. It has less length because the pepper pot stops here while the Coke can stops here. So the pepper pot is shorter than the Coke can. If the pepper pot is shorter than the Coke can, what could we say about the Coke can? We could say that the Coke can is taller than the pepper pot because look, it has more length. It's got a higher end point. Okay, so this means it is taller. Or we could say longer. Okay, taller or longer. We could turn them this way up, make sure they're starting at the same point, and look again. We can see that the pepper pot is shorter than the cola pot. The cola can is longer than the pepper pot. Or we could say it is taller than the pepper pot. Can you find two objects at home and compare the length using the words we've just talked about? So you can use the word longer, taller, or shorter. Off you go, children. Hey guys, so I have two pens here, two different pens. Okay, we have a pen with a green lid and a yellow highlighter. Now, I think that the yellow highlighter is longer than the green pen. Because look, the yellow pen finishes here, while the green pen finishes here. So the yellow pen must be longer. Do you agree with me, children? Do you think that Mrs. Giles is right? Pause the video and have a chat. Have a think. Am I right? So children, I wonder what you thought. Now, Mrs. Giles has been a bit silly really, because we can't compare the length if they're not what? if they're not at the same starting point. That we need to measure them at the same starting point. Okay, this one's going to look, the yellow pen's going to look longer because look, it starts all the way here while the green pen starts here. So it's not fair, is it? It's not an equal starting point. So we need to put the yellow pen at the same starting point as the green pen. So let's push them together. There we go. Now they have the same starting point. Now we can accurately, that means we can carefully and properly measure the length of the objects. We can compare the length now. So I can see now that I was wrong, because if we look, the yellow pen starts here and then the length goes to here. And oh look, the green pen starts here but finishes here. So the yellow pen is shorter than the green pen. It's not as tall, is it? It's not as tall, it's less tall. So we'd say the yellow pen is shorter than the green pen. And we could say that the green pen is taller than the yellow pen because look, it's longer, isn't it? We could say it's longer, okay, or taller. It's longer because it's got more length. It finishes after the yellow pen. Now children, what about if I add in the panda pen? Now, should I put the panda pen there? No, Mrs. Giles, no. Why shouldn't I put the pen there? Have a think. Because it needs to start at the same point as the other pens. So I'm going to put it next to, at the starting point. So they now are all at the same starting point. That's right, Mrs. Giles. So now I can compare the lengths of these three objects. Okay, I can compare the lengths of the three objects. I wonder what I could say about the length of these objects. I wonder what we could say about the panda pen. The panda pen, it's got the smallest length, hasn't it? Because look, it has the first end point. It starts here and finishes here, while the yellow pen finishes here and the green one finishes here. So the panda pen is shorter than the green pen. It's shorter than the yellow pen. I could say it's the shortest. The shortest. That means it's the smallest. It has the smallest amount of length. It's the shortest. Now, what could I say about the green pen? I bet you know. I bet you're shouting it at me. The green pen is the longest. It has the longest length, okay? Because it starts here and it has the finishing point here. So it's longer than the other two pens. I'd like you now to find three objects and compare the length of those objects, just like I did. Can you gather those objects? And can you say which object is longer than something else? Which object is shorter than something else? What's the shortest object? What's the longest object? Or the tallest? And how do you know? Now make sure you remember they have to start at the same starting point, so it's fair. Go on children, go do some investigating in your house. Off you go.